Right, good morning everyone. Welcome along to the session with Dell and SUSE. We're going to be going through, I guess, an overview of our joint solutions that we have as a part of our partnership. My name is Colin Rutherford, so globally I lead our developer technology and multi-cloud practice. What does that mean? Essentially, when it comes to Dell Technologies, I focus in and around integrations, architectures, and also products and platforms that are there to help make the developer more productive, more secure in their day-to-day work, but also there to work on our partnerships when it comes to a lot of our multi-cloud work and helping streamline and make, I guess, multi-cloud a little more seamless. I'm joined with my partner in crime.
Yeah, my name is Gerson Guevara. I am the IHV and embedded solution architect dedicated for Dell Technologies globally. And we are going to be presenting powering your open source innovation journey.
Yeah, and because we've got an intimate crowd here, please ask questions. We're happy to pause, address a question if you have one. And we've got some notebooks and bits and pieces here, so fire away. We'd be happy to engage with you and have a further discussion.
Stay on the agenda.
Cool. In way of agenda, we're going to step through a couple of key points today. Obviously, we want to have a quick view into the overview of the partnership. You're going to see a little more around this throughout the event. If you were here yesterday, potentially from the partner side of the house, you would notice Dell was on stage talking through some of these points as well. Just highlighting, how long we've been working together and what we've been working on. In terms of joint solutions, we're going to go through a number of these to give you a taste of what Dell and SUSE have been working on to test and validate and make, hopefully, your life a little bit easier when you wish to employ both solutions from Dell and SUSE. We're going through Rancher, RKE, and K3S, taking a look also at SUSE virtualization. Obviously, that's front of mind for a lot of organizations today with, obviously, the big changes we've seen in the industry. We'll take a look also at SUSE Edge, telco, and SUSE AI, which was recently introduced. So we'll take you through a bit of an overview of each of those. Again, it's high level, but again, we encourage questions. We can dig a little bit deeper into the areas that you guys have the most interest in. In terms of that partnership, it's crazy to think that we've actually been working together for 20 years. When I saw this number myself, I was kind of surprised, to be honest with you, but it also just shows the depth of how strong this partnership is. Landon's here, and a bunch of Dell, SUSE folks, obviously Gerson as well. I work with these guys very regularly. The partnership is rock solid. We have a good relationship. And I think the number one thing here is that we focus on the customer first, okay? So we're always thinking from the customer lens. We're looking back from the customer, from your perspective, to make sure that we're doing the right thing by you. And I think the beauty of us working in this kind of technical capacity is that we get to dig into the technology and focus on that first and foremost. There's obviously a ton of different means for how we go to market, and we will touch on some of those as well. But Justin, I'll pass back to you.
Yeah, thank you. So who is SUSE? So we have been in the market for a long time. We have acquired like Rancher, New Vector. The latest one is Stack State for SUSE observability. We have global partners as well as we work with all different kind of industries. You want to take that one?
Sure. Again, not to bore you too much with these types of slides, but it is important to know that we have a ton of joint wins together, right? And I think that's just proof that this partnership is working, it is valuable, and obviously bringing together the two companies and the respective technology offerings that we have is resonating across a range of different industry verticals, right? From finance through healthcare, retail. If there's an industry vertical that you notice up there that you are a part of, please come up and speak to us afterwards. We'd be happy to share some more detail around the specific examples, and or please ask a question here if you're feeling game. But yeah, obviously a swath of different companies across different verticals, which again plays to the value of this partnership.
Yeah, thank you. So this year we have been changing our name, the name of projects, as well as the new name. So it started with the SLI Micro, Enterprise Micro. Our product is going to be basically called in all our documentation, SUSE Linux Micro. For SUSE Manager, we wanted to make it easy to understand what was the product or the project for. So now it's called SUSE Multi-Linux Manager. We had SUSE Liberty, that was the previous name, that is used to provide Linux support for CentOS OS, Now we call it multi-Linux support. And also you are going to see in our documentation Rancher, these are the project names of each of the different layers of the stack. We changed the name to Rancher Prime, which is the support version of Rancher. Harvester, we call it SUSE Virtualization, Longhorn, SUSE Storage, New Vector, SUSE Security and Stack Stake, SUSE Observability. Now, with SUSE and Dell, we have been working in both of our layers, in the Linux layer as well as the Kubernetes. So on the Linux side, for SUSE Linux Enterprise, we have different type of flavors of that. What I would like to highlight about SUSE Linux Enterprise Server is that we are working with Dell for many years, and we have a program that is called SUSE ES Certified. And what it does is basically test the hardware and the operating system at every level, at the firmware level, at the driver level, with all the libraries and things like that. So we have more than 2,500 integrations and testing, bills of material between Dell PowerEdge servers and SUSE Linux Enterprise. We also have, of course, multi-Linux manager. We can connect to any of the Linux distributions to provide support to SUSE manager. The second layer that we find here is Kubernetes. So we provide two different lines of Kubernetes, SUSE Kubernetes distribution. One is RK2 and K3S. I will cover that in one of the slides. New Vector, so which is SUSE Security, and Rancher Prime, which is the Kubernetes management platform that is capable to connect to on-prem Kubernetes, public cloud Kubernetes, or Kubernetes at the edge. Rancher Prime, single interface, single graphical user interface, will be able to connect through it and manage it all. Rancher Prime also has the ability to connect to SUSE virtualization. So you have multiple SUSE virtualization deployments at the data center or at the edge. Rancher Prime will be able to manage those as well. If you have if you are a customer that is using public cloud Kubernetes, Rancher Prime will be able to manage those as well. And both layers of products, we can work with them for any of the hybrid cloud infrastructure, like Dev Data Center, Cloud, Branch, or Edge.
Maybe one thing I'll just touch on and just recap from what Justin was speaking about. Obviously, you notice there's a lot of different layers in that equation, right? And obviously, SUSE, it prides itself on being modular in nature, open, and enabling choice. But with choice, there's obviously a lot of moving parts as well, right? So if you're wondering what that real value is, again, between Dell and SUSE, it's the testing and validation that goes on to make sure that these things work together, right? I've been on the tools, it's been a few years since I've been on the tools, but I know how much time and effort goes into that to make sure that things do integrate and things do work. So Justin especially spends many, many hours going through looking at what works well together, right? So that when you get that, you're not going through and wasting all those cycles. You can move quicker and hopefully get these things into production that much faster. So, yeah.
Yeah, so we have been, Landon and I, we have been working with Dell account for more than 4 years. During this time, we are basically working with each of those business units that you see on the list. And with each of them, we have put together joint solutions, strategies across the board. You will find all our joint solutions in Dell Info Hub or on partner page. I have a slide that will cover that as well. Okay, let's start.
Yeah.
So joint solutions. Let's start with the Kubernetes layer. So I mentioned to you that between Dell PowerEdge and the operating system, we have the SUSE ES Certified program. Just watch the mic, move it away. The SUSE ES Certified program, and we are testing every time there is a release between hardware and the operating system. On top of the operating system, we have the layer of SUSE Kubernetes distributions, which is RK2, mostly for data center type of solution or government. K3S is our lightweight operating system. In most of the deployments, usually goes SUSE Linux Enterprise Server with RK2 and Slim Micro with K3S. That's what you will see in most of the reference architectures. But it's flexible. You can have RK2 on top of Sleek Micro if that is needed. Rancher is a complete software stack for teams adopting Kubernetes. So if there are customers that are moving from VMs to containers, Rancher will be the right product for that journey. Let me continue here. So integrations. So let me introduce you to Ravi. He is the Dell Technologies Power Store Product Manager, and he's going to also talk about a little bit of the integrations that we have done. What you see here on the screen, this is the interface of Rancher, Rancher Prime. We are displaying the Rancher Marketplace, and inside the Rancher Marketplace, we are looking for integrations that we have done with Dell. As you can see, we have the Dell CSI drivers, container storage interface drivers. This is the way that the SUSE Kubernetes distributions communicate with the Dell storage. And we have integrated with all 5 storages. So if you download a Rancher and you install it, if you own a storage or you are planning to buy a new Dell storage, RK2 and K3s are capable of connecting to the storage and storing the containers itself or the containers data in the Dell storage. This is the slide that I wanted you to share some more information. So there are 5 different types of Dell storage. Each of those storages are used for different type of use cases. So Ravi will share more information about each of them.
Yeah, absolutely. So if I can summarize what you see here. So at Dell, obviously, we have a broad portfolio of products, especially in the storage business. When you talk about the entry to the mid-market, in terms of price point, we have PowerStore. That's our flagship product from that market perspective. We also have a product called Unity, which we have a lot of customers that are running on. Unity is actually, you can kind of think of it as the predecessor to PowerStore, right? So they kind of both play in the mid-range. But the key difference between Unity and PowerStore is that PowerStore was built and released in around 2020, right? And it was completely re-architected from the ground up using the latest technologies. It's actually a container-based platform. We also are standardized on NVMe technology. When you look at Unity, that's running on, if anyone here kind of recalls the older EMC branding of the portfolio, Unity is actually based on technology of the old VNX, right? So yeah, in terms of technology, PowerStore is future-proof in a way that we've built on container-based architecture as well as the support for NVMe. And in terms of support moving forward, we definitely want to direct customers, especially in that market segment, towards PowerStore. However, Unity serves a particular niche of the market. If you're a customer that needs to be running spinning drives, then we would position Unity because actually PowerStore is an all-flash platform. So that's a key difference. And ironically enough, there are certain industry verticals, especially government customers, that just for whatever reason, I don't know what the reason is, but they just need to be running spinning drives. So that's what Unity is for. Everything else, PowerStore. When you start branching up the market segments, you run into PowerFlex as well as PowerMax. PowerFlex, I'll leave it to my colleague Shashi, who's the PowerFlex product manager. But PowerFlex is a software-defined offering, whereas the rest of the products on this list are purpose-built platforms, actually with the exception of PowerScale, which has a couple different configurations. But PowerFlex is completely software-defined. So you get the ultimate flexibility and scalability, and also in terms of the OS ecosystem support, right, PowerFlex is, unmatched. But if you want a purpose-built, dedicated SAN array that gives you high-end capabilities and high-end availability, you would also consider a PowerMax. PowerMax is actually our flagship product when you talk about the high-end market, right? You just need nine nines of availability, right? Absolutely no downtime. You're willing to foot the bill. That would be PowerMax. PowerScale. When you talk about, I guess, the different types of workloads, I probably should have mentioned this in the beginning, but PowerStore, PowerFlex, PowerMax, and Unity are primarily block storage platforms. PowerStore and Unity actually support file as well, but the major use case is block for those platforms. PowerMax also supports file, but as you can imagine, with those high-end use cases, it's mostly block. PowerScale, what makes that unique is that that's our scale-out file solution, right? So when you talk about, I hate to throw out the word, but AI, right? If you're looking to position a particular storage platform, Dell storage platform, that is most suitable for AI use cases, it's PowerScale, right? Because AI tends to generate a lot of unstructured data, and that's what PowerScale is for. So I hope that makes sense. Any specific questions?
Yeah, thank you so much,
Sure.
Ravi. So, and based on that, that's why we end up doing the integration with all the storages, because each of them cover a specific use case, a specific vertical, a specific way of doing things, and make the storage strategy. So that's why, as you can see here, we have Rancher with our RK2, which is a Linux enterprise server, or K3S with a Slim Micro. We can install the stack on any physical or virtual environment. When I mean physical here, so it's a Dell PowerEdge servers. When I talk about virtual, it's our SUSE virtualization. We can run the VMs on top of the virtual environment as well. RK2 and K3S, those are the Kubernetes distributions. They use the CSI driver, the container storage interface driver, to communicate with the storage. So as you can see, this is all the different kind of protocols to connect to the storage. So that's what Ravi was mentioning. With PowerFlex, we have an extra component that is SDC. This is storage data client that it works directly with the CSI driver to communicate with the storage. We are also going to be working on NVMe over TCP. In the next few quarters, we are going to be integrating NVMe over TCP to work with each of those type of storages. As you can see, all of them, they have and support NVMe over TCP. SUSE Linux Enterprise Server nowadays support NVMe. We just need to do the integration at the Kubernetes layer. So that's why we end up doing the integration with all those storages as well as PowerScale and Unity. So current customers that own a Dell storage or new customers that are planning to buy a storage, depending on their use case, they will get one of those, and they are already integrated with Rancher as well as RK2 and K3S. So Colin will share more information
absolutely.
about it.
Maybe just to add on to the back of what Jason was saying there, if you are interested in understanding a little bit more around these CSI drivers, which are part of our overall CSM modules, take care of things like replication, authentication, observability when it comes to that storage integration layer. If you head to developer.dell.com, you'll see a range of different links that can point you in the right direction for the documentation, the downloads, etc. There's also some great resources there around what you can do with infrastructure as code when it comes to Dell as well. So think of your Ansible playbooks, Terraform providers, and all those different pieces that can help you get that seamless, I guess, deployment and operationalization of your infrastructure. So developer.dell.com. It's going to be a great resource for you to check some more detail out around that. SUSE virtualization. I think we'll all agree that there's been some interesting things happening in the industry recently. Obviously, Broadcom have dropped the bomb, so to speak, and a lot of people are wondering what they should be doing. Okay. I guess what I've seen is that there's been this period of mass panic, followed by people now being a little calmer about the situation. And at the same time, though, they're looking at different options, right? I think people are realizing, this concept of vendor lock-in is being echoed even more when it comes to the virtualization layer. And, in the technology world, it's very hard to steer clear of vendor lock-in, right? Because everyone has a very, compelling, sticky offering that they love to position. And, I think this is a good case of understanding what that looks like and how to work to contain, maintain, but also employ other options without introducing necessarily too much complexity at the same time. If I look at the customers that I'm dealing with day to day, SUSE virtualization is coming up more and more. And I think the reason being is that while it's offering an alternative to virtualization, it's also a bridge to cloud native, right? Because of the constructs that it uses. Obviously, KubeVirt, built in, it facilitates not only the virtualization layer, but it's a bridge into the container world as well. And I think that resonates in a number of ways because, you know, obviously we're seeing more and more workloads move from that virtualization layer into container, but we're seeing, you know, a need for both. It's not all virtualization, it's not all containerized. The workload dictates that. And I think, you know, SUSE virtualization, it has a hand into both of those worlds, which is almost a passage of safety for a lot of folks because they have that comfort and peace of mind knowing that they can cater for different types of workloads in that singular platform. So if you're on that path and you're looking at options for your virtualization layer, this is a great option to look at. And then obviously between the partnership of Dell and SUSE, we've done a lot of work there to make sure that the integrations are tight, right? Especially when it comes to that enterprise storage layer, because as I said, the workload dictates a lot of it. And especially when you're looking at those high-end workloads and you're wanting that seamless storage integration, the work we've done when it comes to the CSI and CSM modules is going to make your life a whole lot easier. So.
Yeah, thank you for that intro. So SUSE virtualization. We have been working with the PowerEdge team. We have done a reference architecture that was published yesterday, which is basically SUSE virtualization on top of their PowerEdge servers. So let's talk a little bit about Harvester or SUSE virtualization. So as Colin mentioned, we have many opportunities now because of VMware situation. So what is make SUSE virtualization important is basically is a modern cloud native hyper-converged infrastructure. You can run your VMs, you can run your containers. If you have a large VM environment and you are transitioning into containers, this is the right solution for you. If you are planning to run hundreds of containers, thousands of containers, this is also available for you. One of the customer use cases that we like to highlight in this part of the presentation is, for example, BMW. BMW nowadays is running more than 2.6 million VMs per month. So it's a very strong virtualization platform. In case you would like to POC it, let us know. It is flexible, so you can have VMs, Windows VMs, Linux VMs, containers based of Linux builds. It can start at 1 node, 2 node plus witness node, 3 nodes, 5 nodes, 7 nodes, depending on the number of VMs. You have a single pane of glass graphical user interface. 100% open source. So this is important for some customers. It is based on KubeVirt. So let me just move to the stack. You can download the ISO image. We offer different ways to install it. We can support air-gapped installations for the data centers, like government type of data centers that they don't have internet connections to it. Once you install the ISO image, this is the stack, starting from the bottom. Slim Micro is our lightweight operating system. RK2 is our SUSE Kubernetes distribution. Longhorn is a SUSE storage, it's a software-defined storage ledger. Longhorn has been designed for Kubernetes, so very flexible and optimized for Kubernetes. KubeVirt is where the virtualization ledger is running. Multus is similar to this is the CNI, so it's Container Network Interface Driver, which contain many functions similar to NSX. And let's jump into the SUSE virtualization on Dell PowerEdge reference architecture. So this is our quad-vector joint solution. We have been working with Dell Technologies, Intel, and Kioxia, and all together support each of the parts of the stack. With Kioxia, we work on, we chose the Dell PowerEdge R760s It's one of the latest Dell PowerEdge servers that are available in the market. We run SUSE Rancher Prime on top of our SUSE virtualization, and we are using the latest CDA disk, which is NVMe. In this case, we picked the 7.68 terabytes disk with NVIDIA Connect X6 networking. We have GPUs available, but in this specific reference architecture we didn't use it. We'll use them in the next one. So that's about the introduction to the reference architecture. Now, if we go a little bit deeper about the hardware, in this specific reference architecture, we use a three-node SUSE virtualization on a Dell PowerEdge R760s. The BIOS version is 2.4. We were using 256 gigabytes memory in each of those servers, 16 modules, 16 gigabit DDR5. With Intel, Intel supported on this reference architecture. We chose the Xeon Gold 6430, which is a 2 processor, core count 32. So this is really fast. And for the hard disk, we use the CD8 series with a 7.6 terabyte disk. 2.6 inch, so it's a very light and a small hard disk for such a powerful capacity. And we also have PCIe 4.0 and NVMe 1.4. Kioxia offers memory as well as SSDs. So for this specific reference architecture, we use the disk in the middle. So those are data center disks, the CDA, 5th generation, those are flash. You can buy up to 15 terabyte type of disk. For this one, we use the 7.6 disk. Because we had the environment, we use Kbench to do a benchmark, and those were the parameters. So for block size, 128 kilobytes, for sequential read as well as sequential write. For random read and random write, we use 4K blocks, IO depth 64, and number of jobs. But one of the highlights here is that we were using number of instances, 10. We wanted to simulate that there were actually many different type of IOs at all times during the integrations. We use a PVC size 33 gigabytes, and the test volume was around 30 gig. What you can see on the screen is the drive throughput for read and for write. And in a 10 Kbench instances, we had a throughput of 2.6 gigabytes per second. Read and write was 4.82, which is very good because we need to take into account that there are multiple processes, multiple containers, multiple VMs. We are simulating that they are actually connecting to that disk and taking advantages, and the average throughput was really high. This is more than enough for any VM or a container we need. The latency was really small as well, so we had a great performance with Kioxia, and we use Kbench, which is an open source Kubernetes benchmarking tool. SUSE Edge.
Cool. All right, Edge. So I guess I'll start from a Dell Technologies standpoint, and then we'll look at the SUSE integration piece here. So Dell Technologies, one thing we've seen over the years is that there's been a big focus on Edge, right? I think we heard that yesterday, and you'll hear this throughout the event. Is a lot of data is being created at the edge, so we need to look as much at the edge as we do at the data center and understand how we can facilitate the technology footprint there. From Dell's standpoint, we have our Dell Native Edge offering. So think of this as a centralized way of not only deploying and getting the hardware footprint up and running, but also deploying workloads as well. So if you have edge use cases, maybe it's healthcare, manufacturing, retail, you're going to be leveraging some kind of compute footprint at the edge. We have our new XR11, XR12 small form factor servers. We also have a range of ruggedized servers as well for those environments that aren't so great in terms of cooling, or maybe space as a constriction as well. This is the solution for that, to help you get that zero-touch provisioning experience, to be able to roll these devices out, stand them up, get them deployed, and then also take them through their subsequent life cycle. We all know, just like any piece of hardware or any piece of technology, there's updates, there's security patches, there's all that fun stuff that goes along with that. Often when you're dealing with the edge, there's a whole lot of constraints that come with that. You maybe don't have the manpower there. Maybe you've got network links that are not so great. This is going to help make that a little easier for you, right, in terms of getting those workloads out there. So part of native edge is the blueprinting ability. So think of this as your declarative recipe for the application that you wish to deploy and push out to those edge endpoints. Obviously, there's that's backed by a catalog, because there's you want to standardize where possible. So we've worked to help create that catalog experience, that self-service cloud-like experience that we all know and love, so that you can go to this catalog, pick your application, pick your workload, and be able to push that out to those devices. And I think if you look at especially some of the scenarios at scale where we've got thousands, maybe tens of thousands of devices, there's a lot of value that comes from this, right? And leaning now into the SUSE side of it, it's one thing to get that deployment happening and getting the hardware footprint out there, layering out the application, but there's still some layers in between that we need to be worried about, right? Especially if we're running Kubernetes at the edge. K3s is going to be a big part of that, because again, when we're at the edge, we're thinking small form factor. We need lightweight, constructs to be able to facilitate those workloads, and that's where the SUSE part of the equation comes in and works quite nicely with the Dell Native Edge approach. So.
Yeah, so SUSE Edge or Dell Native Edge, the process is kind of simple. The customer basically gets Dell XR8000s, they go to the website, request that server, and from the factory, it is secure. So Dell Native Edge follow the FIDO implementation way of deploying the server, closing the ports, send it. Once the server is received at the customer side, it connects back to the orchestrator, and depending on the image that you pick to install on that specific server, it will deploy the operating system, the Kubernetes layer, as well as the application. So you will need to create a profile, exactly what and how do you want that specific deployment to happen, and it's recommended that the customer share that information with them from the beginning, so the servers are designed for that specific use case. What we can see here is that Dell Native Edge, once the profile is being created, Dell Native Edge allows you to pick a 3-node K3s or a 5-node K3s Kubernetes cluster, and which also will allow you to include Longhorn. You can have Longhorn, which is our software-defined storage, to manage those transfer of blocks between the edge devices. Let's say you have 5 branches, you have 1 node each, or a 3-node in a single location. Longhorn will be able to control and take care of the replicas of the blocks between the edge devices. So that's available nowadays with Dell Native Edge. There is also a specific demo that you can try in the DellDemoCenter.com. You can look for Dell Native Edge, and through the process, we already have integrated a demo which allows you to go through the installation like a clickable, and you will be able to see how the actual process works. We are also planning to work with them on New Vector or SUSE Security, as I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, and also we are looking into AI applications that customers are requesting lately to see which are the ones that we are going to be added into the Dell Native Edge marketplace. So that's the next thing. We also have a blog that describes and have more information about the solution. So I'll invite you to review it. QVIP is to manage the IPs. So it will see like a single IP, a virtual IP through all the nodes. So it will take care of the networking connectivity to the cluster. So very useful open source software that is integrated on that solution.
And again, I'll just reiterate, tested and validated, right? Again, there's a lot of modularity here, but we have worked together to test and validate this to, again, take the weight off your shoulders so that you can employ these solutions straight away and get operational with those. Again, The link that Jerson mentioned to go along with developer.dell.com is also Dell Demo Center, so keep that in mind. You're not only going to see things like Edge joint solutions, but there's some other solutions there, especially when it comes to CSI, CSM as well, where you can get in and get an understanding and appreciation of what this integration looks like, right? Go through a stage demo and at least get some appreciation before you jump into it and test it yourself. So another great resource.
Yeah, thank you. So we have been working with the Dell Technologies Telco Business Unit for the last three years. Initially, we did certification for each of the components separately. So K3 you are going to find in Dell InfoHub that you see K3S, Slim Micro, and Rancher already certified as a single components for self-integrations. For 2024, we work on the entire ATIP solution, which is now our SUSE Edge for Telco. And we did the Dell Technologies certification. So SUSE Edge for Telco is Dell Technologies certified, Dell Technologies Telecom certified. So we did the testing in the Dell XR8000 line of servers. We use accelerator cards, and we can run any telecom application on top of our stack. We're using the Dell XR8000s. We can run FlexRun, the actual reference architecture we put together. We use the Intel FlexRun telecom application. We did some benchmark, we tested, it is certified. We also work with Parallel Wireless as well as a telecom application vendor on top of our stack. We have a specific joint solution. I'll invite you guys to come to our booth, Dell booth, and we have more information. We can show you some demos for Edge, for Telco, for SUSE virtualization. All of that is available at the booth. At Mobile World Congress, we showcase or join SUSE and Dell Telco reference architecture to customers. So that is available for any of you. If there is any telecom providers in the room, we invite you to take a look at the link. It's right here. Just look for it, SUSE Dell Telco Joint Solutions, and it will pop up in Google. So that's about that. Then let's move to SUSE AI and what we are doing with Dell on the AI.
Yeah, so obviously it would be remiss of us not to be mentioning AI. I think every single session is going to be featuring AI in some way, shape or form. This was really just to show you, I guess, an appreciation of some of the layers that exist between the infrastructure and an AI outcome, right? It's easy to get lost in these AI conversations. There's a lot of promise out there around what AI can deliver, but beneath the surface, there's a ton of different layers that make that possible. Many of these layers you're probably familiar with. But we work together to employ a range of different technologies here just to show how it is possible to deliver that AI outcome. I mean, if you think about it, if I go to my Hugging Face, for example, I download a model or a series of models that are ultimately stored in a container. What do I do next, right? I need to be able to deploy that seamlessly. So, across the top representation of the applications, but I'm going to need some sort of MLOps framework, right? Because just like any other workload, it's got its own life cycle. There is a build, run, manage aspect to it from getting that model downloaded, maybe you're doing some fine tuning or some sort of iteration on that model. You're going to be deploying it, running it, managing it, and that model will ultimately update over time. You're going to be looking at that full life cycle. So an MLOps framework is a key part of that as well, down through obviously the orchestration of all the infrastructure pieces as well, because again, whether we like it or not, the infrastructure is still present, and the more seamless and invisible we can make that through automation, the better. But maybe you could expand a little bit more, Justin, on just some of these specifics of these layers that we went through and tested in the lab.
Yeah, thank you so much, Colin. So this is one of the offerings. This is one of Dell EMEA AI Lab data centers that is available for customers that are starting the AI journey. It is all about flexibility and no vendor lock-in. So we align with Dell, so we want to be flexible. Our infrastructure and our softwares and our products allow it to be flexible and not to have any, and not to lock the customer in any way. So as you can see, Rancher Prime is here as part of the container orchestrators. There are many different type of accelerators. We can work with any of them, and there are many different kind of applications. So at the lab, when the customer is coming, the customer would like to do a POC, they can request a specific type of layer, one of the products for each of the layers. So the lab will basically allow, and it will set up for you, for the customer, it will set up that infrastructure the way you wanted it to test it. We are part of the program. Customers can do POC. So there are two ways. SUSE has its own SUSE AI solution. We are going to have a separate presentation on Thursday. I'm going to be presenting it with Marco Regan, and we will talk about more in detail about what is the lab and what are the options, SUSE AI, and we can also run any kind of workload, AI workload, on top of RK2 on K3S because it's just Kubernetes. AI is basically containerized applications that will need an accelerator card if it's needed, or we can take advantage of the new Intel inferencing processors. So they will be able to take advantage of that. So that's about that. We will cover that in the other presentation, but we wanted to share that we are actually working very closely with Dell on SUSE AI or any AI application on top of our SUSE Kubernetes distributions.
Yeah, so just adding to that, so this is part of our customer solution centers. So we have these globally through Dell, our customer solution centers. There's going to be one local to you, no doubt. So if you're interested in understanding how this works together, the modularity of this design and stack, get in touch with us and we can certainly take you through that. No matter where you are in the world, APJ, EMEA, or the Americas, we have a range of different customer solution centers, ton of different technology offerings in those solution centers, and they're designed there to help you prove out whether or not this technology makes sense for you. So I encourage you to get in touch with us and we can leverage these resources for you.
Now, I would like to add that we are also going to be working on a SUSE and Dell AI reference architecture. And for Dell Technologies work, there is a hands-on lab and there is also the Dell Demo Center. We are going to have SUSE AI showcasing in the Demo Center. So if there is any pre-sale sale cycles, we are going to be able to use the Demo Center clickable, and then you will be able to see the whole SUSE AI, how to install it, how it's deployed, how it's configured, and what are the options that you have. So that is going to be available for Dell Technologies World. That's the end of May. We have also worked with Dell Apex Private Cloud, and the Apex Private Cloud was using this solution. What you can see here, which is based on VxRail. We basically work with them. We use SUSE Rancher on top of the virtualization layer of Dell Apex Private Cloud. And we deploy RKE 3 node or 7 node, we can run it. And on top of that, we use Kubeflow. We wanted to build this solution for enterprise customers that were building their own SUSE, their own AI applications. So that is available, that's the link. In that case, we work with NVIDIA for the GPU layer. And developers basically can take advantage of these solutions. They can build their own AI applications on top of Apex Private Cloud. This joint solution was done like 2 years ago, but is available as well. So we work with Dell Technologies technical marketing. So now we have our partner page. At least for the last year and a half, we have our partner page, which is divided in 3 sections. We have SUSE Rancher, Kubernetes, SAP as well, and Edge and Telcom. So that is available. We are going to update that as well. You can find all our joint solutions in the Info Hub. We have multiple guides, white papers, solution-based blogs, videos, and related resources. We also invite you to take our training. There are different kind of training for all SUSE products. So if you are a partner or planning to partner with us, that's available in our partner portal. And I invite you to take all those certifications. From this part, basically, we just list all the links that is going to be, this presentation is going to be available, and we are going to share it. Basically, we chose a few of the reference architectures. We had limited time, that's why, but we couldn't choose them all. There is so many. With each of the business units that you can see, here you find telco, you find SAP, PowerFlex, Apex. We have joint solutions across the board, as well as solution briefs and blogs. This part I like it a lot, so these are the videos. So if you go to Dell Info Hub, look for SUSE videos. We have done a how-to video on how to set up the CSI drivers for all the storages. We also work with Power Protect. So if you have workloads, any kind of containerized workload on top of RK2 and K3S, we have an integration with the Power Protect Data Manager, and we are capable of doing backup and restore of those containerized workloads. A cool feature is that you can also restore it to an alternate location. In case you are doing migrations between Kubernetes, you can use PPDM to back up from one side and restore it to a completely new environment. That is also available in one of these Power Protect videos. So that's available. If you would like to know the latest reference architecture, you can follow me on LinkedIn. Like yesterday, that we published our latest reference architecture between Dell, Intel, SUSE, and Kioxia. That's how I create a post with the latest information, so feel free to follow me on LinkedIn. And this is our great team in North America. This is our global team. Some of you are here. We also have global coverage in APJ, in EMEA, as well as LATAM.
And maybe just echo those 3 links to be aware of. So remember, InfoHub, that's going to be where the repository of different white papers, reference architectures, so keep that in mind. Demo Center, keep that in mind for demonstrations, interactive videos to be able to get an appreciation of the technology. And then developer.dell.com, that's going to be your repo for getting access to the CSI drivers, the documentation that goes with that, our CSM modules, and those infrastructure as code elements to help simplify and streamline that infrastructure layer. So kind of 3 key links to take away. So yeah, hopefully that was useful. You guys learned some things, and yeah, we appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you so much.